Look, this woman spent a whopping $250 on one designer fashion, but this smart shopper created the same look with a Bedazzler and saved hundreds. Now you can get the Bedazzler for just $19.95. We'll also send you 150 sparkling silver bright gem studs absolutely free. Plus, you get 25 of these brilliant rhinestones in emerald, ruby, diamond, and topaz. You also get 15 popular designs for quick and easy bedazzling. Go ahead, treat yourself to a little luxury and order the Bedazzler today. You get a $50 value for just $19.95.
Sorry, no CODs. Credit card users call toll-free 1-800-423-7400. Call now. Our operators are giving away valuable gold gem studs at incredible discounts on all of today's orders. To order by mail, send just $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling too. Bedazzler, Box 666-T, Verona, New Jersey, 07044. Credit card users call now 1-800-423-7400.
To achieve your ultimate potential, we introduce Nordic Flex Gold, the newest idea in strength training that is 5 ways better than SoloFlex. Nordic Flex Gold has linear motion to accurately simulate free weights. SoloFlex uses a less effective arcing motion. Nordic Flex Gold has isokinetic resistance to match your natural strength curve for maximum results. With SoloFlex, the resistance is dictated by the stretch of a rubber band. Nordic Flex Gold's isokinetic resistance also gives you speed. There are no steel plates or rubber bands to change between exercises, so your changeover time is up to 40% faster than SoloFlex. Nordic Flex Gold also has an electronic feedback system to measure your performance. SoloFlex doesn't. And best of all, Nordic Flex Gold costs 1/3 less than SoloFlex. Call now to order your Nordic Flex Gold, the ultimate strength training machine for the ultimate body.
USA Auto Mall in Farmingdale has the biggest selection ever. A huge inventory of 88 and 89 Acura Legends to choose from, starting as low as $219 per month. That's right, Acura Legends rated #1 in customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. These Acura Legends are all one-owner cars, loaded with air conditioning, automatic, AM/FM cassettes, and start as low as $219 a month. Don't miss this chance to own an Acura Legend. Call 1-800-336-5455. That's 1-800-336-5455. USA Auto Mall, Route 109 in Farmingdale.
Spain 2 weeks ago, the superb Imola circuit near Bologna is bathed in sunshine for what could be the closest race we've had so far this year. Nigel Mansell is going for his 5th consecutive victory, but here McLaren have closed the gap. And with Imola being only a few miles away from the Ferrari factory, they'll be making a maximum effort to do well at home. And so will Benetton, especially with German wunderkind Michael Schumacher. Mansell, Patrese and Senna have all won here before. This could be the race where things really close up. The pollen count at Imola is enormous, and poor Nigel Mansell's closed up with hay fever. But it hasn't stopped him getting his 5th successive pole position with Imola's fastest lap ever.
I used every single bit of track there was out there and more. And it was a very nice lap, very special lap. 10 tenths or 11 tenths, if you'd like to say, on some corners. Very happy because I didn't use the qualifying car, I used my race car.
Frank Williams' superb Williams Renaults have been the class of the field this year, but there's been no let-up since Spain 2 weeks ago in developing them. Riccardo Patrese had a terrible day on Friday, but Saturday was good, and he's up there again on the front row with Nigel. Ayrton Senna is a 3 times winner for McLaren Honda, but his highest finish this year is 3rd. His team's narrowed the gap, but on practice form, they're still not there. And despite all Ferrari's hard work at nearby Maranello and their input from consultant Niki Lauda, it'll be a sensation if their fanatical followers can cheer a Ferrari win here. It won't be for lack of trying by the spectacular Jean Alesi, though. Jean's using a new transverse gearbox, and he gave it no mercy in practice. And Benetton's Michael Schumacher's been trying very hard, too hard sometimes, for his first race at Imola. He could win here, but to do so, he's got to beat the Williams and the McLarens.
About the Williams, I don't want to talk too much because they are far away from us. Still, we are not able to catch them. I think our situation is to talk about McLaren and Ferrari. We were able to drive with them, and we are quite close together. And I think this is a big success for our team. Nobody was expecting us to drive against the McLaren, against the Ferrari, and I think we have done a good job last winter.
Fittipaldi está paradinho ali, ó. Problemas na Minardi de Fittipaldi. Você viu o Patrese passando por ele. Ricardo Patrese passa em 1:22.950. 1:22.950 o tempo de Patrese. Ele que tem a segunda colocação com 1:22.895. Baixou um pouquinho daquele 900. E o Christian com muita pressa. Ele está quase no final. A posição dele não é confortável, muito ao contrário. A 25ª colocação ainda deixa o Christian ameaçado até de não largar. E ele está correndo para continuar no treino, para pegar outro carro e buscar então continuar, dar mais uma volta, tentar melhorar.
In early May, there was another declaration of independence in the former Soviet Union. The Crimean Peninsula had historically been Russian-speaking, but in 1954 Khrushchev had transferred it to the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic for administrative purposes. As the Soviet Union fell apart in February 1991, greater autonomy was given to Crimea, making it an autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic within the Ukraine. Then, in February 1992, it had changed its name from the Crimean ASSR to simply the Republic of Crimea for obvious reasons, and in early May, its leaders declared Crimean independence from Ukraine and adopted a flag in the Russian red, white and blue colours instead of Ukrainian blue and yellow. There was an extra dimension to this declaration because the Crimean port of Sevastopol hosted what had once been the Soviet Black Sea Fleet, whose fate was still uncertain, with Russia claiming control and ownership as a successor to the USSR, while Ukraine was unwilling to leave Russian bases on its soil. With this issue still a live one, there didn't seem to be an appetite on either side to add a third player, an independent Crimea, to the mix, and when it became clear that neither Kiev nor Moscow supported independence, it was quietly withdrawn, and the Ukrainian parliament promised greater autonomy to the peninsula. On the island of Corsica, French football club SC Bastia were facing giants Olympique Marseille in the semi-final of the French Cup, and keen to make bank on this major event, the club erected a temporary stand. But it had all been done in a bit of a hurry and pushed through the planning stage without being looked at too closely. Corners were cut, and the stand collapsed before the game, killing 18 and injuring over 2,300. Investigations concluded that not only had the temporary stand been shoddily built, but the ticketing had also been badly managed, allowing too many fans into the new structure. The semi-final was abandoned, never played, and rather than crown Monaco the winners of the other semi-final, the Coupe de France would have no winner for the first time in its history. And over in England, Leeds United won their first title since 1974 and their third overall, becoming the last club to win the English First Division as the top flight. When English football reconvened in the summer, the top division would now be the independent Premier League, with the historic Football League now forming levels 2 through 4, albeit still numbered 1, 2 and 3 just to be confusing. In the days before the San Marino Grand Prix, there was a meeting almost unthinkable a few years earlier, as Ron Dennis was hosted at Maranello by Luca di Montezemolo. What could unite these two great rivals? The need to do something about Williams, of course. they agreed a position to take to FISA, namely that electronic aids such as traction control and active suspension were both sending the cost of F1 spiralling again and reducing the spectacle for fans. Max Mosley was sympathetic to the argument, and it was debated by the next FISA Commission, along with Bernie Ecclestone's idea to reintroduce refuelling to shake things up a bit. Perhaps understandably, team owners like Giancarlo Minardi were all in favour of banning technical aids and reducing costs, while Frank Williams was against it, saying it was worse than the Balestra era. In any case, refuelling would have to be shelved until at least 1994 to allow enough development lead-in time for chassis designers. What would go into the cars was also under debate, with FISA keen to have a single fuel formula and Total and BP all joining forces to oppose the idea and pool their chemical research. Mobil, supplying Benetton, were the outliers and supported FISA's idea. Build-up was underway for the Indy 500, and Nelson Piquet had a terrifying accident in practice, with both legs crushed, and he narrowly avoided losing them both. He was not alone. Pancho Carter and Hiro Matsushita both broke bones in crashes, and Filipino rookie Jovi Marcello was killed when he crashed head-on into the wall in a very similar accident to Piquet's. The 500 itself would take place in the week between the San Marino and Monaco Grand Prix, with no fewer than 10 past winners expected to be in the field. Piquet was visited in hospital by Alessandro Nannini, who joked about the driver Benetton would have had with my arms and your legs. It certainly put paid to rumours of Piquet joining Ferrari, but Ivan Capelli was still the subject of much unkind speculation about his future. The team were all pretty down in the dumps about their performance, rejecting a proposed new gearbox as not good enough, and considering that scoring points at Imola will be the best they could hope for. The Tifosi, of course, expect more, and have really taken Jean Alesi to their heart, seeing in him a worthy successor to Gilles Villeneuve in the way he drove the number 27 car. In the week of the 10th anniversary of the Canadian's death, this is particularly important, but Ferrari had only won twice at Imola, the infamous 1982 race won by Didier Pironi, and Patrick Tambay's win inherited from a crashing Riccardo Patrese the year after. On that occasion, Patrese had been hurt by his fellow Italians cheering his crash, and although he had put some of those demons to bed by winning here in 1990, he was still not a big fan of the place. Matters weren't helped when, in a private test a week before the race, a slow puncture sent him into the wall at Tamburello at 200 km an hour, 124 miles an hour. Fortunately, the puncture had also put him into a spin, and he hit the wall side-on, otherwise it could have been very nasty indeed. Instead, shaken but unhurt, he went off to spend the weekend with his family in Padua and hide from the press, who were increasingly questioning his performance in the Williams, something he himself was struggling with too. As for everyone else, the question seemed to be not whether Mansell and Williams would win the title this year, but whether they could go one better than McLaren in 1988 and win every single race. Just as on that occasion, their rivals were all struggling, though the new Benetton was no 7 chassis, a car reputedly based on the abandoned March 1992 design. It certainly looked like Chris Murphy's Leighton House of 1991, and it featured a system that Lotus described as fast ride height, a sort of semi-active suspension using conventional springs and dampers, but with computer control to adjust ride height on the go. The team had been one of the pioneers of active suspension back in the 80s, but had never quite managed to make the system work the way that Williams evidently had for 1992. Just in case, though, the team had also brought 2 102Ds with them. For a team that was living hand-to-mouth just a year earlier, they certainly looked like they were making a big comeback. Minardi also had 2 of their new cars at Imola, despite its teething troubles in Spain, and again had an old chassis available as a backup. And Brabham was still in financial trouble, now with John Judd saying he'd not been paid for his engines and they would be repossessed. A late agreement on Friday was made that they could use them this weekend, but the drivers were told to take care because they really couldn't afford to break one. So, off they all went for pre-qualifying, with Andrea Moda's new sporting director, Frédéric Desnaux, formerly of AGS, Colonia and Larousse, seeing his charges off. There had definitely been an improvement, as Roberto Moreno put in some good times before his wheel bearing gave out. Unfortunately, Perry McCarthy had still never actually had a seat fitting, and his car hadn't got a windscreen attached, so he wasn't really able to get anywhere before his differential broke. but at least he had set a time. Michele Alboreto had the best of the session, leading Gasho, Katayama and Chiesa through as usual, but with all of them having had a range of technical issues, Marino was just 0.4 seconds off putting the S192 through into qualifying proper. Maybe next time.
森脇です。最近のグランプリではピットの奥に必ずこのようにコンピューターが置かれています。グランプリで使われるコンピューターはエンジン用とシャーシ用に大きく分けて考えることができますが、今回はシャーシ用のコンピューターの話です。コンピューターは常にマシンの走りを見守り、膨大な量のデータを処理してセッティングやマシンの開発に役立てられています。例えばエンジンの回転数や油圧、油温、スピードなどはもちろん、4つの車輪ごとのスピード、各ショックアブソーバーの動き量、その時のスピード、前後左右上下各方向にかかる G、 スロットルポジション、ギアポジション、ステアリング角度、空力で生み出されるダウンフォースを含めて4輪それぞれの荷重、車体と路面との距離、風圧などまで大きく分けても100くらいの項目についていくつものデータを走っている間中記録し演算しているのです。ちょっと面白いディスプレイを紹介しましょう。下側のグラフは横軸に時間が取ってあります。上からスピード、前後方向の G、 エンジン回転数のグラフ、それぞれが2台分色違いのラインで表されています。上はイモラのコース図です。そのコース図の上を点が動き始めました。ほとんど同じ動きなので一つに見えていますが、これは2台のマシンを表す2つの点が重なって1つに見えているのです。グラフの上を移動する縦線はコース上のマシンがグラフの上でどの位置にいるかを示し、右側にはその瞬間ごとのデータが数値で出ています。今土佐コーナーを抜けてピラテラへ向かう上り坂にかかっています。ここまで2台のマシンの動きはほとんど同じだったので点が重なって見えていましたが、次のアクアミネラリの立ち上がりで大きく差がつき、点が2つに分かれていきます。そして次の試験員でもマルボロ試験員でも差が開いていきます。そして次の試験員でもマルボロ試験員でも差が開いていきます。なぜこんなことをする必要があるかというと、まずいろいろなセッティングを試したとき、このように比較すれば各セッティングの特徴をはっきり知ることができます。この場合片方のセッティングは試験員の立ち上がりが遅いというわけです。ドライバー同士の走りを比較するとドライビングの良いところと悪いところがすぐ分かりますし、もちろん一人のドライバーがコースをいろいろな方法でアタックしてどの走りがベストかを知るためにも使えます。さてこれは変わったデータを処理したグラフです。横軸にフラットボトムのフロントの車高、縦軸にフラットボトムのリアの車高、Z 軸はダウンフォースの大きさです。風洞で行われた実験のデータをカラーで表示、それとは別に黒い点がたくさん示されていますが、これは実際のマシーンが走って測定した実測値なのです。つまり3分の1のモデルを使った風洞実験と実測値ではどれくらいの差があるかを読み込んであるので、風洞で得られたデータを修正して実際のマシーンに生かすことができるという試みなのです。日に日に激化するハイテク戦争。ほんの数年前グランプリサーキットに登場したコンピューターは今や高密度でマシンを走らせるには絶対に不可欠のものになったと言っても良いでしょう。
There are many different nose jobs in Formula One, but undoubtedly the most radical of all is this new Benetton. As you see, the wing is actually slung underneath the nose, these two struts down here. This gives a lot more surface area to give downforce. Also allows the air to get underneath the car. Seems to be working very well. It was the result of what Rory Byrne found out in the wind tunnel. It does seem to be very effective indeed. But as I said, in Formula One, all kinds of different nose jobs.
Away from the Republic of San Marino, just 23 miles square, too small to have its own racetrack, so they go to Italy, to the Autodromo Enzo and Dino Ferrari to run the Grand Prix of San Marino. 1/4 of the 1992 World Championship is now complete. We are on our fourth continent, and we have come to Imola for the spring race, an Italian Grand Prix competition. It is the Grand Prix of San Marino. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha, along with David Hobbs. Welcome to the Grand Prix of San Marino. There's the man on the spot, Nigel Mansell, at 38 years of age, a 3-time runner-up for the World Championship. He has 4 straight poles and 4 straight victories coming in. Under enormous pressure, he now has a chance to make his own page in the history books, and he has the massive support of a crowd expected to be some 200,000 people. Mourning, perhaps, Italy's lost in the finals of the America's Cup competition yesterday, but they love their motor racing here, and we expect a great one this afternoon. With me once again, David Hobbs. David, tell us a little bit about this racetrack.
Well, actually, it's a great racetrack to race on this, Bob. It's 3.12 miles long, so it's one of the longest in the circuit, and it has a tremendous range of corners. It has 18 turns, 5 of them are very slow, a couple of them are the fastest in Grand Prix. As we go down into the number 1 overtaking spot is the Tosa hairpin, approached at nearly 200 miles an hour, but that's where a lot of action is going to take place this afternoon in passing. Then we go to the Piratella, to the Acqua Minerale, and then we come up to what they call the Variante Alta, in other words, the high chicane. We've now risen about 300 feet. Very slow right-left chicane. Again, we're going to see some outbraking manoeuvres here. Then we accelerate through there, downhill fast, through the Piratella, through the Razza, and down. This is another place where we're going to see some overtaking. We saw, in fact, Alan Prost spin off here on the warm-up. That's a couple of years ago, if you remember, in the wet. Then there's a couple of very fast left-handers leading into this chicane complex. More overtaking right in front of the stands and all those thousands of fans that you mentioned before. That next corner you see, that very fast left-hander, this is what happened in 1989 when Gerhard Berger, then driving the Ferrari, went off there. His front wing collapsed and the car went straight into the bank, ultimately catching fire. We, of course, in the booth were absolutely spellbound and horrified by this, but Gerhard Berger raced just 2 races later.
In fact, he climbed from that wreck, and that itself was a testament to the quality of the course marshalling here at Imola, where Grand Prix racing is everything. Now let's get down to the grid, where Andrew Marriott has a final story before we send the cars on their way. Andrew?
All the drivers are changing and choosing, because I understand there's lots of different ideas out there on the grid.
There are lots of different ideas. We've essentially got 2 compounds here, a harder C and a soft D, and out there we have both tyres being used today. We see the Williamses on the D compound. Our Senna has an interesting mix. This is an anti-clockwise circuit, so he has elected to put a C tyre, which is a harder one, on the right-hand side, which will be working harder, and a D on the left-hand side. The others, the Ferraris, his team and Senna's teammate Berger, also have opted for the C compound tyre.
Will we see any pit stops, Barry?
I think we will see pit stops today, irrespective of the compound. Track temperature is very hot, 46 degrees centigrade. Pretty hot here today.
Thank you. Back to you, Bob.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Barry Griffin, Public Relations Manager for Goodyear. The cars are on their grid. It is very warm. We'll have all the weather and the starting grid when we return to Imola. The green flag awaits. Live at the starting grid in Imola, Italy, site since 1981 of the Grand Prix of San Marino. Now, not all of the cars are on the grid. In the background is the Jordan Yamaha of young Italian Stefano Modena. There he is. There have been problems with the Yamaha engines in this car all weekend, and now Modena, who is having an absolutely abysmal start to the 92 season, will have to start the race from the pit lane after the starting field has passed when the green light flashes.
Understatement à la Riccardo Patrese. Doch die Konkurrenz arbeitet verbissen. Ayrton Senna zur Situation bei McLaren.
Ich denke, mit leeren Tanks sind wir näher an die Williams herangekommen. Wie es mit vollen Tanks aussieht, weiß ich nicht. Ich glaube, die aktive Radaufhängung wird unsere Möglichkeiten verbessern, die Balance mit vollen und leichten Tanks erleichtern. Aber auf jeden Fall haben wir unsere Leistung verbessert und das ist wichtig, um weitermachen zu können und die Motivation dafür zu haben.
Sprach der Weltmeister und fuhr wieder raus zum Testen, während Teamkollege Gerhard Berger zusehen musste. Ein Auto hatte er zerlegt und dann gab es Probleme mit dem Nachschub.
Ja, zuerst hat das Chassis nicht Platz gehabt in dem Flieger, der direkt dahergeflogen wäre, und dann haben sie einen Flieger nach Rom nehmen müssen und da hat man wiederum die ganze Nacht auf den Zoll für den nächsten Tag warten müssen. Jetzt ist der Transport auf dem Weg daher und wir werden morgen früh wieder anfangen.
Ein verlorener Testtag also für den Österreicher, der ohnehin nur recht skeptisch in die Zukunft bei McLaren blickt.
Heuer muss man sagen, wenn wir unsere Standfestigkeit in den Griff kriegen, gewinnen wir noch über nicht. Wir fahren irgendwann am 3. oder 4. Platz durch die Gegend und das reicht nicht, um Williams oder Menzel noch unter Druck zu setzen.
Alberto Ascari's all-time record, but no driver has ever won the first 5 races of any season, so Mansell today could beat the record start that Senna made last year. And here's Mansell's position on the league table of the most successful drivers in Grand Prix motor racing. Today he could pass Jim Clark's total and is closing rapidly on Jackie Stewart's position as Britain's most successful Grand Prix driver of all time. So with that sense of history, we cross to Imola for round 5 of the Formula One World Championship, and we join James Hunt and Murray Walker.
And you join us here at Imola in absolutely magnificent weather conditions. The temperature is knocking on 30 degrees. The sky is blue and clear. The sun is blazing from it. They are already down there on the grid for round 5 of the 1992 World Championship at this quite superb circuit. A circuit which, unlike many of them, not only has just about every kind of corner, but more importantly has gradients, both uphill and downhill. You are looking now at Ayrton Senna, 3rd on the grid, yet to win a race this year, only 6th in the championship with a mere 4 points, with Nigel Mansell 36 points ahead of him. But there are some interesting observations from the circuit. First of all, this weather, of course, which is very, very demanding, allied to the fact that the circuit surface is very, very smooth indeed, means it is going to be extraordinarily tough on tyres. We wouldn't be at all surprised to see tyre changes from about the 20th lap onwards, and maybe even another tyre change for some of the teams. Watch particularly in this race, I advise you, veteran Michele Alboreto, because he's in the footwork Mugen, which has really come good here at Imola. He's starting 9th on the grid, but even more impressive than that is the fact that he was 2nd fastest to Nigel Mansell in this morning's half-hour warm-up, and his teammate Aguri Suzuki starts from 11th, and he was 9th fastest in the warm-up. Now at the back of the grid is Johnny Herbert. Sadly, his Lotus teammate Mika Hakkinen failed to qualify. They both tried to qualify the old Lotus 102 and had all sorts of problems, but Lotus have made a decision today that Johnny Herbert is going to race the new 107, and he was 10th fastest in that in the warm-up period this morning.
Yes, he was indeed, and that was very encouraging for the Lotus team. They had a lot of problems with their gearbox on the new car on Friday and Saturday. They were trying to run it, as a result of which they were jumping into the old car. And in fact, like many teams, their real problems in qualifying was that they were blowing engines up. They had a mixture problem and were burning pistons, but this has been, Friday and Saturday here, has been as big a carnage of engines as anybody can remember. And that is a reflection on two things. One is that this circuit now probably has the longest time in 5th and 6th gears. Grand Prix tracks down the long straight as they head away from here, and some well over 10 seconds in top gear. And the other thing, of course, the heat contributed, but it also reflects the power race that is going on amongst the engine builders. So we're hoping that that won't happen today, but I can say that is more of a hope than likely to become a reality, because it is exceptionally hot here, and racing cars, as we all know, do get more fragile in all departments as the temperature goes up. Murray was saying also that tyres are marginal, and more than just on wear, there's been a fair number of blistered tyres on Friday and Saturday here, and it would not surprise me that the teams, despite the fact that it's all one make stuff with Goodyear now, there is a choice of compounds, and the teams will be, some of them will be braver than others on just how marginal they want to be and whether they're going to risk blistering tyres. It'll be a job too for the drivers to look after their tyres in the opening laps when the fuel load is heavy. The cars, of course, then remember, they come to the start line over 50% heavier than when they finish because of the big fuel load.
Well, down in the pits here, there's a bit of action around the Benetton of Schumacher. They've had a water leak with that car, and obviously are not too sure where it's come from. But of course, the main issue here is the heat. And with track temperatures at no less than 46 degrees and the air temperature at 30, tyres. And what's interesting is that we've got three different solutions. The Williams cars of Mansell and Patrese are both using the softest D compound, a solution that's only shared by the March and the Dallara cars further back. The second solution is the one that we've got from Senna with his McLaren. And he's gone for the harder C compound on the right-hand side with the softer D compound on the left, which leaves Benetton, Ferrari, footwork all on C compound the whole way round. So we'll have to see how they get on.
Yes, and of course the Williams team, with their advantage, have the luxury of being able to nurse their tyres, and of course the active suspension would seem to be easier on the tyre, allow the tyre to work more evenly than on the passive cars. Just returning to the warm-up times this morning, certainly a very impressive performance by Herbert to go 10th in the new car, because it's the first serious running it's had. It kept breaking down with gearbox trouble over the weekend on Friday and Saturday, but first real run in anger, and most encouraging for the Lotus team. The footwork time of Michele Alboreto certainly was impressive, and they have been most impressive all weekend here, but that actually was a rogue time, because he went out, he had trouble with his race car first thing in the warm-up, jumped in the spare car, and of course it didn't have a full load of fuel. In fact, it was a very light fuel load, so it was a rogue time, but certainly they're going well, and the 9th fastest of Suzuki reflects their real form in this morning's warm-up, which is certainly a team moving up the grid, and they've scored points in the last couple of races as well.
The Grand Prix at the circuit. We are waiting for all drivers, and then it is laps around this twisty circuit. Grand Prix at the circuit. We are waiting for all drivers, and then it is laps around this twisty circuit. green flag. Then it's the 5-second board. First gear engaged, revs are up, and then red light to green. The red light is on and the green is on, and who has the best start? And who spins off again? But he did lose it also. Went involved there. Goes over to win the start.
Got them in the initiative. It's the right to try and block him. Got away.
Is he going to get it till he is?
Well,
Dives down the inside. And
just like that. Well, there'll be a little bit of shuffling and scuffling, I'm quite sure, on the opening lap, and of course on the run down into the first corner, appropriately named. But once the lap has been completed and things begin to settle down, I'm quite sure that in many people's minds the safest place to try an overtaking manoeuvre is going to be pit stop time, and anticipating a minimum per car of 2 stops and more likely 3.
No way.
And possibly in the case of some people who are a little bit less delicate with the right foot, 4 stops. Well, I think the strategy of the race is going to be very much in the hands of those engineers who are sitting with monitors and computers, deciding at what point they consider to be advantageous. Now, it doesn't always follow the stop for tyres, it will be a stop for fuel. But one assumes the logic of doing so will follow.
no way.
No, the nose looked very vulnerable. Quite rightly shut the door. This is a race for position. There are no prisoners going to be taken. Let all the blood pressure settle down. Breathe deeply and slowly. And again, you see how much time has last. It is excitement.
nose look very vulnerable. Quite right.
No way.
The nose look very vulnerable. Quite rightly shut the door. This is a...
No way.
The nose look very vulnerable. Quite rightly shut the door. This is a race for position. There are no prisoners going to be taken. I think frustration, what he needs to do is just compose himself. Let all the blood pressure settle down. Breathe deeply and slowly. Look very vulnerable. Quite rightly shut the door. This is a race for position. There are no prisoners going to be taken. I think...
No way. Is he going to get it till he is? Dives down the inside and...
Shut the door. This is a race... Last, it is...
No. No way. No way.
lap, sir, in this lap.
Well, tyre stop. Well, tyre stops. How many are we going to see? No way.
No, the nose looked very vulnerable. Quite rightly shut the door.
Just drive back on low revs. If you have to stop, stop near a fire marshal because it'll be very hot underneath. Just drive back to the pits. If you don't make it, stop near a fire marshal.
Well, tyre stops. How many are we going to see per car? And I know that's not the leading car that's planned to be coming in then.
Imagine where, Allard, you got that information. But certainly, I would expect, and of course, again, this whole thing we're talking about strategy. Strategy probably has been adjusted, or will be adjusted, so they can afford to expand any strategy they may have already had in place.
cleared okay, mate. I'm not putting any power. No curves for now.
Giving it lots and lots of power as he slides in to make a pit stop.
Well, tyre stops. How many are we going to see per car? And I know that's not the leading car that's planned to be coming in there.
Well, I can't imagine where, Allard, you got that information. But certainly I would expect, and of course again this whole thing we're talking about strategy. Strategy probably has been adjusted or will be adjusted so they can afford to expand any strategy they may have already had in place.
through, causing collision, so we want to get it out of the way as soon as possible, just in case. One more lap, then we'll take this drive through. Pace is looking good. It's only 10th and a half off, so stay out, stay out.
Getting a lot.
We don't quite understand it, but we're going to have to take it. So just keep pushing as much as you can.
giving it lots and lots of power as he slides in to make a pit stop. Well,
no way.
No, the nose looked very vulnerable, quite rightly.
Is he going to get a toe? He is. Dives down the inside and
shut the door. This is a race for position. There are no prisoners going to be taken. And in spite of this being and is out of the Grand Prix. He may have lost his engine, and that is all due nowhere to go. Well, who could have written a script just like that? I'm sure he's sad that he doesn't have a battle, but his challenger, the man he was most concerned about, is out and walking back, and bitterly disappointed that for the Grand Prix there are no points in this championship challenge.
Walking back to the pits.
to make a pit stop. Fuel in.
That's the way, boy.
No way. No, the nose looked very vulnerable. Quite rightly shut the door. This is a race for position. There are no prisoners going to be taken. Just outside, just into the points now, is not at this point a threat. Giving it lots and lots of power as he slides in to make a pit stop.
Hey, sorry about the sudden stop in the stream there. My computer crashed. It completely froze up mid-stream, which means we've lost all the coverage there. I do apologize. I will get the race back up and running. Just give me a few to get everything set back up again. Enjoy the commercials.
I'm in a bar, and there she is, so I go for it. She's drinking Sun Country wine cooler. Hey, I see you're drinking the refreshing Real Juice cooler. She ignores me. So I try the line about how everyone loves the premium white wine and real fruit juice in Sun Country. Then I make my big move and order my own Sun Country. Then she makes her big move. She leaves. Sun Country, say, give me the Real Juice cooler. It's the last time I wear a bear suit to a singles bar.
Street of sound is the start of the day.
コズモバルカン登場。ブルバルカン出動。合体グランドクロス。大迫力のシステムメカ。デラックス超合金太陽合体3バルカン。ポピーより堂々完成。超合金シリーズもよろしく。
この秋女性の話題作、チョコの塊が入ったクッキーです。東ハとオールチャンク。
Here's some hope for all home gardeners who've been waiting for something tasty to come up and help stretch the family food budget. You've been facing the same problems growers always have. Right from the start, man found the good earth good and hard. And when something did sprout and survived, it often starved in stingy soil. Well, over the past half-century, Chevron scientists have come up with a lot of things to help growers. Things to make seedlings strong and the hungry hordes weak. To make crops get up and grow. To help hard, dry soils drink up and make farming colorful again. Today, to help meet the needs of a growing, hungry world, new ideas are blossoming out of Chevron even faster. Things to help make your garden and budget healthier. To make every acre count for the farmer. Ideas to help make the world grow better. That, too, is the Chevron way.
In this mountain land so pure and clean, this land of rolling blues and greens, Olympia was born out here in a place where people love their beer. Brewed for men who came to test a land that won't take second best. The heart of Holy beer is from this land we call the last frontier. We're bringing you what we know best. The spirit of the great Northwest. Olympia could happen just once in a world. Olympia could happen just once in a world. Olympia could happen just once in a world.
Come.
新しいことを始める力 F スピリット
F1 でビジネスで世界とファイトするフットワークグループです。
Das würde ich lieber lassen.
The green flag, then it's the 5-second board. First gear engaged, revs are up, and then red light to green light. Red light is on and the green is on, and who has the best start? And spins off again!
He didn't, he was hit also when involved there. That is all due to poor start. Got given the initiative, the right to try and block him. Got away. Well, who could have written a script just like that? Well, there'll be a little bit of shuffling and scuffling, I'm quite sure, on the opening lap, and of course on the run down into the first corner, appropriately named. But once the lap has been completed and things begin to settle down, I'm quite sure that in many people's minds the safest place to try an overtaking manoeuvre is going to be pit stop time, and anticipating a minimum per car of 2 stops and more likely 3, and possibly in the case of some people who are a little bit less delicate with the right foot, 4 stops. Well, I think the strategy of the race is going to be very much in the hands of those engineers who are sitting with monitors and computers, deciding at what point they consider to be advantageous. Now, it doesn't always follow that the stop for tyres will be a stop for fuel, but one assumes the logic of doing so will follow. And is out of the Grand Prix. He may have lost his engine, and that is all. No way. No way. No, the nose looked very vulnerable. Second place at the moment. And this is one of the opportunities I've been talking about, because as they finish this giving it lots and lots of power as he slides in to make.
Well, tire stops. How many are we going to see per car? And I know that's not the leading car that's planned to be coming in then.
Well, of course, running just outside, just into the points now, is not at this point a threat.
of this lap.
No way. No, the nose looked very vulnerable. Quite rightly shut the door. Giving her lots and lots of power as he slides in to make a pit stop. Well, tyre stop. No way. No, the nose looked very vulnerable. No way. No, the nose looked very vulnerable. Quite rightly shut the door. This is a race for position. There are no prisoners going to be taken. I think frustration, what he needs to do is just compose himself. Let all the blood pressure settle.
Of kids. Hi, Melissa. Even your little monkeys. Hi, Bernard. So if you've got a little monkey at your house, bring him to
Have you seen Bernard? Bernard? A kid can be a kid. Oh, Bernard. Bernard.
This Sunday, the BBC is launching a new channel.
BBC Choice will be no more.
But instead, we'll have the brand new...
멋진 최고 승리 야호! 소니가 사시면 멋진 묘기 자동차도 드려요. 아티스 소니.
Rockabye, baby, in your cradle so fluffy. I can sleep too, 'cause I drink Wilkins decaffeinated coffee.
ダイナマン東ハトコーンスナック誕生。君たちの大好きなハンバーガー味だ。今ダイナマンの全てがわかるダイナマンクイズカードがついている東ハトコーンスナック。ダイナマンから君たちへ。
お兄ちゃんは自転車の名人です。私はお兄ちゃんが大好きです。
東ハトキャラメルコーン。そうです。ファイアマン。
Hi, I'm a little Pritt stick, and I'm great for sticking paper and card. Honest, I work just like a lipstick, just like this. So I can stick really quickly and never make a mess. I'm great for pictures, parcels, cards, albums, all sorts of things. How can you manage without me?
give a home to a little Pritt stick.
Oh, go on.
Any sign of them yet?
Nope.
Execute! Let's move! 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 Where are they? Well, I'm sure they're on their way.
Don't worry, they'll make it.
They're coming! I see them! They're here!
Toy Story toys have arrived at Burger King with the stars from the magical Disney movie. Your kids can collect all 6 high-quality toys, one with every great-tasting $1.99 Kids Club meal, only at Burger King.
With Megan.
The $1.99 Kids Club meal at Burger King.
with the right foot 4 stops, well, I think the strategy of the race is going to be very much in the hands of those engineers who are sitting with monitors and computers deciding at what point they consider to be advantageous. Now, it doesn't always follow that the stop for tyres will be a stop for fuel, but one assumes the logic of doing so will follow.
No way.
No, the nose looked very vulnerable. Quite rightly shut the door. This is a race for position. There are no prisoners going to be taken. I think frustration, what he needs to do is just compose himself. Let all the blood pressure settle down. Breathe deeply and slowly.
Second place at the moment.
at the end of this lap.
rightly shut the door. This is a race for position. There are no prisoners going to be taken. I think frustration, what he needs to do is just compose himself. Let all the blood pressure settle down. Of course, run and is out of the Grand Prix and is out of the Grand Prix. Of course, running just outside, just into the points. No way. No. No way. No, the nose looked very vulnerable. Quite rightly shut the door. This is a race for position. There are no prisoners going to be taken. Let all the blood pressure settle down. Breathe deeply and slowly. And again, you see how much time he's lost in his... No way. No, the nose looked very vulnerable. And is out of the Grand Prix and is out of the Grand Prix. No way. No, the nose looked very vulnerable.
The checkered flag is out, wins the Grand Prix. And oh boy, what a season are we going to have this.
Look at that. And they are truly delighted. Popular results, I'm sure, in quarters. The prospect at the start of the year of utter domination was something that would not necessarily have been good for Formula One. But those three parties are now going to have to work very hard indeed. Nonetheless, it's going to be competitive to the end. They've got a lot of work to do in terms of overall performance, and there's the man, and look at that, it's just unbounded. Absolutely delighted, look at that. Well, obviously for the team it's their opportunity to get on the podium. Well, now there'll be the rush to the podium.
Grand Prix racing and won.
very good. I think Nigel drove a very steady race. I think he had quite a bit in hand, and there was some ding-donging going on behind us, but I think we put in a pretty good show. Yeah.
It's a very tough racetrack here, is it, on the car?
Yes, and it's a very hot day today, so it means mechanically on everything it's very hard, as well as being physically very, very hard on the drivers.
Congratulations.
Hard on the pit wall, I might say, as well.
Congratulations to the best race car designer in the world.
Whatever. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Bob, I've just been trying to push my way into the park fermé, but I think you know that's pretty difficult. Orange-suited officials holding me back. I just caught a glimpse of the car. Senna was still in it. Sid Watkins is there, the doctor who attends all the Grand Prix drivers. I think it's a case of severe heat exhaustion. We'll come back to you with some more news if we get it, but it is absolute chaos down here. Typically Italian, I have to say. Back to you, Bob.
They do enjoy their racing. That race is now complete. You can see the chaos in the pit lane as the McLaren team waved off our helicopter. We will see you next from the Grand Prix of Monaco coming your way. Don't forget Checkered Flag. We'll bring you the inside story of today's Grand Prix of San Marino. That'll be coming your way at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time next Saturday. The series will move on to Monaco and then to Canada. We will see you from Montreal, Quebec at 12 a.m. Eastern Time on June 15th. Nigel Mansell has made history. 5 straight victories from pole in 1992. It looks to be his year. I'm Bob Varsha for David Hobbs and Andrew Marriott. So long, everyone.
I know I should use a tartar control toothpaste, but mine tasted too strong.
Introducing mild-tasting Tartar Control Crest Smooth Mint Gel.
You were right about that crest. My mouth thanks you.
It's tough on tartar, soft on you.
I think they'll have shampoo there.
We might not have Head & Shoulders.
We're only going to be gone a week.
Right, a week. Head & Shoulders helps take care of the condition that causes flakes every day, because you never know. You know?
Head & Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Have you ever created or invented a product? Don't just let it sit there, do something about it. You can start by calling the Inventors Helpline in Washington, D.C. at 800-227-7000. You'll receive free confidential forms and useful information describing the invention process. And when you call right now, you'll also receive a free brochure which tells you how to begin to develop your new idea. So get the ball rolling. Pick up your phone right now and call for your free Inventor's Kit.
Call 800-227-7000.
The way to not win in tennis is to think too much about your opponent. Because in tennis, you don't just play the opponent. You've got to play the ball. It's how you play the ball that determines whether your shot is in or out. Whether the point is won or lost. Play the ball better than your opponent, and you'll play winning tennis. Now, you can play the ball and win with this double offer from Tennis Magazine. You'll receive a free half-hour video by Tennis Magazine instruction editor Vic Braden, plus a full year, 12 issues of Tennis Magazine. Call this number now and change the way you play tennis. What a combination. The How to Play Winning Tennis with Vic Braden video, plus the magazine that brings more instruction to more tennis players than any other. Call 800-521-2170 for a full year of Tennis Magazine plus the free video. Just $13.77. Call 800-521-2170 now.
Hold that stretch. Feel it through the inner thigh. And over. Again. 1 and 2 and over. Last time. Stretch to the right and over.
Niet op het podium, die ligt in het park Vermee nog een tijdje lang in de McLaren. Verklaart later, ja, ik heb enorme schouderpijn gehad, de wagen was moeilijk te rijden en het was wel te zien ook, want de heren uit de Williams Renaults klommen zo fris als een hoentje uit de wagen. Het was een geweldige wedstrijd, vertelt Mansell.
Because for me it's I mean we made history today, 5 in a row.
We hebben historie geschreven hier, 5 overwinningen op rij. Hij zegt ik draag mijn overwinning op aan de monteurs en aan het team. Het is een historische overwinning.
The historic victory.
And we think about these people.
En wat denk je van de mensen hier in Italië? Geweldige mensen.
Because for me it's, we made history today, 5 in a row.
We hebben historie geschreven hier, 5 overwinningen op rij. Hij zegt, ik draag mijn overwinning op aan de monteurs en aan het team. Het is een historische overwinning.
The historic victory.
And we think about these people.
En wat denk je van de mensen hier in Italië? Geweldige mensen. Fantastisch.
It seems very different to win here in Imola.
Is het anders om hier in Imola te winnen? Ik had hier heel graag willen winnen natuurlijk met Ferrari toen ik nog bij Ferrari reed. Maar het lijkt er wel op of ik vandaag ook al in een Ferrari reed. Zo blij zijn de fans. Ik moet iedereen bedanken.
Thank you very much. Riccardo Patrese.
Maar het lijkt er wel op of ik vandaag ook al in een Ferrari reed. Zo blij zijn de fans. Ik moet iedereen bedanken.
Thank you very much.
Riccardo Patrese dan. We vroegen Frank Williams, je baas, wat hij over zijn beide rijders denkt. En hij was ervan overtuigd dat jij wel een race zou kunnen winnen dit jaar. Je bent een geboren vechter, je bent altijd snel, je bent in goede vorm. En het kampioenschap is nog steeds open. En er zijn volgens Frank nog geen beslissingen genomen qua teamorders. Wat zeg je erop? Ja, we zijn op een punt aangeland waarbij Senna een geweldige puntenvoorsprong heeft.
Per me è una cosa che si deve riaprire con dei fatti favorevoli, se no Nigel probabilmente ha tutti.
Het enige wat ik kan doen is gewoon ook proberen wat races te winnen.
Quello che cercherà di fare è di vincere qualche corsa.
Maar als het erop aankomt is hij natuurlijk in het voordeel ook qua teamorders later in het seizoen.
Macchine stupende, sembra che siano dei salotti.
We gaan even terug naar de wedstrijd. Iedereen heeft het maar over die geweldige auto van jullie.
Sempre questa tensione, ma in effetti
vergeleken met de anderen, is dat nou echt zo? Is het nou zo makkelijk rijden? Hij zegt ja, het valt natuurlijk altijd wel mee. Je moet wel die wedstrijd even rijden. En we hebben 5 keer gedomineerd dit seizoen, zonder problemen. Maar mijn auto was toch niet echt goed in balans en ik kon in de race echt niet bij Mansell in de buurt komen. Daar is Ayrton Senna inmiddels wat opgelapt door de Rode Kruismensen. Heeft het heel zwaar gehad, maar rijdt toch binnen op een keurige derde plaats. Een podiumplek dus voor Ayrton Senna. Ik heb veel kramp in mijn schouders gehad, vertelt Ayrton. Hij zegt ja, ik ben eigenlijk boven mijn boekje gegaan. Ik heb meer moeten doen dan mogelijk was en dan krijg je dit soort problemen. De auto is wat moeilijk en ik had het heel moeilijk. Ja, Ayrton Senna toch blij natuurlijk met de punten. Fans gaan tevreden naar huis. Volgende wedstrijd zoals gezegd hier op EuroSport. 31 mei de Grand Prix van Monaco. We gaan donderdags live met u meekijken naar de trainingen. En vrijdag wordt er niet getraind in Monaco, dan zaterdag de trainingen. Tot dan, tot gauw. Heel bedankt voor uw aandacht. Graag tot de volgende keer.
This victory and the historic thing in the history books to the Cannon-Williams Renault team. Because without their expertise, engineers and fantastic designers with the engine and the car, it wouldn't be possible. Nothing would, but I must admit I've got a real good smile and I'm really happy. I mean, it is a fantastic achievement. No matter what car you think you might have or not have, the biggest achievement is the reliability.
Nigel, you had a blistering start and you kept it up. That was part of a tactic, was it?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to have my own race today because I knew the tyres were marginal, and it worked pretty good. And I think Ricciardo probably timed his tyre stop just a little bit better than I did because he closed up really quite a lot. But then in the later stages in the race, perhaps my tyres were a little bit better.
Yes, I think I came very close to Nigel, but he pushed very hard again. On the same time, after 4 or 5 laps, after my pit stop, the right rear started to be a little bit funny and very marginal, so I had to back off because I wondered that maybe I could have a big blister and maybe I had to change tires again. And on the top of that, I had some slower people in front that made again a big gap between me and Nigel. And after that, I was more worried about my tires because they didn't look really particularly strong. And because of that, at one stage, I just thought that the race was gone for Nigel, and I preferred to save my second place.
Nigel Mansell makes history at Imola with his 26th Grand Prix victory and his 5th in succession, beating his teammate Riccardo Patrese. Senna third, and I'm glad to say he's okay. He got out of the car with heat exhaustion, poured water over himself, but he's all right. Martin Brundle, an excellent fourth. Alboreto and Martini repeating their Spanish Grand Prix results, 5th and 6th. Now, Nigel Mansell leads the World Championship from Patrese by a massive 26 points, with Schumacher third, Senna and Berger tying for 4th, and Jean Alesi 6th. And now, Williams lead the Constructors' Championship by an enormous margin from Benetton. 4 points ahead of McLaren, Ferrari 4th and Footwork 5th. In 2 weeks' time, it's the Street Circuit Grand Prix at Monaco, and Nigel Mansell has never won there. Is he going to make it 6 in a row at Monaco? Watch it on BBC television.